Hello, thanks for joining us. Today is Tuesday, so it's a terrific Tuesday, and it is May 19th, and May is our 5th month, and it's the 19th day of May. Let's go ahead and look to see what we have today. For Mrs. White, you have read 20 minutes of a free choice book. And then on Tuck Everlasting, you're on chapter 20. Make sure you read and follow along. And then you're to complete chapter 20 form for Mrs. White. For me, you're on Google Classroom. You're doing the Tuesday math column. Make sure you watch those videos. They're there to help you so you can solve those problems correctly. Also, a little reminder, the quiz for the math column is Thursday this week, okay? And then you're also going on extra math. A lot of you have moved to division. Those of you, I have a couple of you still on multiplication because you're so close to passing. So keep up the good work. And then on MobyMax, you're going on numbers. Science and social studies now are off. But if you have any missing work to catch up on MobyMax, any science or social studies, or even math from past weeks, go ahead and make those up and resubmit them so you can get credit for them. I also wanted to remind you, Mrs. White said that there's no poem for this week, so I wanted to remind you, and it's been taken off for this week, okay? Since we've been looking at fractions, and fractions are on the math columns, I'm going to show you, I'm going to have you come to my kitchen with me, and we're going to use fractions and to measure so we can make some scones. So come along with me, we'll use our fractions and do some measuring. All right, we're in the kitchen now, and I have out my ingredients to make my scones. I'm going to make cinnamon pumpkin scones, and what helped me decide that was I was going through my cupboards and I found I had bought some canned pumpkin and I had got it at such a great price. It was half price, so I picked it up because I thought I love pumpkin. I need a reason at some point to use it, so I found that and I thought I'm gonna make these pumpkin scones. Also, I'm using a lot of fractions, and we've been talking about fractions lately on the math columns. So I wanted to show you me using fractions in my cooking. All right, so first thing I need is almond flour. Now I'm using flours for myself that are gluten-free. So this one, it says I need a cup of almond flour. So if you can see right here, it's right up to 1 cup. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to do all my dry ingredients first. So I'm putting in a cup of almond flour. My next thing I'm going to put in is my coconut flour. I need a half cup. So there's a fraction right there. I'm at 1/2, half a cup right there. And if I have a half plus another half, I get 1 whole cup. So this is my coconut flour. I'm putting in half a cup. My next dry ingredients is baking powder, and it calls for half a teaspoon. And let's see here. Here's some of my measuring spoons. Here's half a teaspoon. It has 1/2 as my fraction. TSP is teaspoon. Don't confuse that with tablespoon. We'll use tablespoon in just a minute. So I need half a teaspoon, so I'm going to fill that and then flatten it on the top like that. So I get exactly half, and I add that to my dry ingredients. Next, I need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to find my 1/4. I like how these are color-coded also. So it has 1/4 or a 1/4, and then TSP is teaspoons. So I'm going to measure a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The best I can here. Yeah, and it went all over. All right, I'm going to just put back in what I can, so I leveled it off. I'm going to add that to my dry ingredients, and I'll get rid of that salt later. I got a little bit of a mess of salt there. All right, next I need cinnamon. Oh, I got a better bargain on buying a bag of cinnamon. I sometimes buy my cinnamon in jars, but I found it in a bag and it was a lot cheaper that way. So I use a lot of cinnamon. A 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm going to use this one again, the 1/4 or 1/4. I'm going to get it from my bag and I'm leveling it off. So I have a 1/4 right there and I've leveled it. Put that with my dry ingredients. Next I need pumpkin spice. Since I'm making the pumpkin scones, pumpkin spice helps bring out that pumpkin flavor. And it adds to it. It says I need 1/2 teaspoon. I want to make sure I have TSP for teaspoon, and there's 1/2 or 1/2. So I get my pumpkin spice. Smells good. In pumpkin spice, it has some cinnamon, ginger, lemon peel, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom. All right, so I have 1/2 teaspoon. I'm going to put that in with my dry ingredients. And the last thing I need is the sweetener. I don't use sugar. I can't use sugar, so I have to use something called stevia. It comes from a plant, but it's super sweet. So I'm using 1 teaspoon, 1 full teaspoon. Now we were looking before at like a 1/4 and a 1/2. So a 1/4 is 1/4 of a teaspoon. So it would take 4 of these to equal 1 of these. All right, and a 1/2, this one right here, 1/2, 1 out of 2. So 2 of these, or 2 out of 2, would equal 1 full teaspoon. So I need 1 teaspoon of my sweetener. I use the stevia from the stevia plant. Right there, I leveled that off, put that in. All right, now I'm going to do my wet ingredients next. I need a 1/4 cup of almond milk. I've already measured this out and I'm gonna tip it so you're gonna see in there. I like this measuring cup because it has it inside. You can see the measurements and you can see 1/4 down there. I think you can. There you go. You can see 1/4, but when I put it flat, I want to make sure it's right at a 1/4. So I'm going to pour my almond milk in. I need melted coconut oil. So this is coconut oil, and when you buy it, or when I buy it, it comes cold pressed, so it's solid. I have to microwave it to make it a liquid. I have to heat it up. So I heated it up right here, and I actually need 2 tablespoons. So now I want to look at the TBS, the tablespoons, not the TSP for teaspoon. I have table, TB. Look how much bigger a tablespoon is than a teaspoon. So here's my 1 teaspoon, here's my tablespoon. It actually takes 3 teaspoons to equal 1 tablespoon. All right, so I have 2 tablespoons of melted coconut oil. I need 1 teaspoon, that's the blue one again, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I want to get it as close to the top as possible. That's my vanilla. And 3/4 cup of that pumpkin pie mixture I showed you. All right, and again, I like that it has the 3/4 right there, 3/4. So I'm going to scoop that into my mixture. And one more thing, I believe. Oh, well, my egg. I can't forget my egg. And my 1 egg. I'm going to break that, put that in, and I'm going to mix it all up. All right, I have all my ingredients. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to mix it all up and then put it in a baking sheet and bake it at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. So I have lots of math involved. Make sure you comment below and tell us anything you've done with math recently. I'm using math and fractions for cooking. If you've used fractions or math for anything recently, go ahead and comment below. All right, thanks for joining us today and have a terrific Tuesday.